Hey guys! This week's project is back to making amigurumi food again. I seem to be on a roll here, but I promise this is all just coincidental and not some kind of master plan. Anyway, with that being said, let's get into it. I'm sometimes in the mood for sushi, and a while back I noticed that the box my sushi had come in was unusually nice looking. So I thought, why not help the planet and recycle it? It's a tidy looking box with a snug lid that will help keep my amigurumi fresh. Obviously, as you can guess, the colours I mainly used were white and black yarn for this, and I also had to use lots of other materials, all of which I will list in the description box below so that you can peruse at your own leisure. Just before starting the crochet, I sketched out some different sushi types on some paper to try and figure out a layout for the different pieces and how many pieces I should make. This was just a rough layout and it could change, but it gave me a good starting point by letting me see how much room I would have to work with. Okay, so let me explain my method. I figured that most of the nori wrapped sushi could be done in one of two ways. The first way was to do it all in one by starting off with the desired filling colours, switching to the white for the rice, then to black for the nori, building up the walls and then repeating the previous steps but in reverse to finish off. But I decided the better approach was to make it in separate pieces. Ha! Shock horror, I know. The all-in-one method champion is actually choosing to make things separately and sew them together. Quick, look out your windows and let me know if pigs are flying right now. But you know what? In my defense, I'm all for the path of least resistance when it comes to crochet, and although that's usually what I call the all-in-one method, there are times when that's not the easiest approach. Besides, I'm still not sewing everything here. The individual pieces are crocheted separately, and as I do when I make my other humanoid amigurumi, I just crochet them together later on in the process. It's just that this time specifically for the sushi it will be sewing them on instead. Anyway, let's make some forbidden sushi. I started off by crocheting some cylinders of different sizes using black and the white yarn, representative of the nori and the rice of course, and I found that by doing this I wasn't actually locked into a specific design and was free to change my mind if I wanted to, at least to a point. For the avocado maki, I used two types of green yarn followed by the white in a circle. I then sewed these onto each end of one of the smaller black bases. I then did the same thing again, but with a coral coloured yarn to get a salmon maki. It's so much simpler this way. The futomakis are larger and have more ingredients. The one I chose to mimic, well, there was two, but the one I'm showing on camera is the salmon and just avocado. I think that one is actually just made up. But there is another one where I do fried ebi, avocado and cucumber, which you will see in just a moment. So I started off with the three colours, which would be the salmon and the two greens for my avocado. I crocheted them until they reached the size of the larger black bases that I made earlier, and then switched to the white of course and sewed them onto each end. For the prawn katsu, I used the pink yarn for the prawn, followed by the greens for the veggies, and then switch to the white for the rice. And as you can see here, it looks pretty. I mean, you can't tell what it is, but from a distance it reads sushi. To make the salmon nigiri, I started off with a white base of rice. I moved on to the salmon using the orange yarn, and I crocheted in rows until I had the top of the rice covered. I also tapered the ends slightly to give it a more organic look. I then sewed this on and embroidered some diagonal lines across the top. I also made a tuna nigiri off camera, and that was just the same steps repeated but with a different colour for the tuna. I made one more in the same vein of the nigiri, but it's actually tamagoyaki sushi, which is the egg. So for that I followed the exact same steps as the salmon with the white base. I then crocheted the egg into a square and then wrapped the black nori around it to complete the look. Okay, so we're now on to my favorite one, which is the gunkan maki. Now this one is an interesting one because obviously I wanted it to just be chef's kiss, but at the end of the day I think I pulled it off, but bear with me, I'll explain what I did. So this one began by crocheting a black base in an oval shape and then building up the side walls with the black. Obviously I showed you the bases earlier, and I topped it off with white because what I was going to do next would make the colour pop even more. Anyway, taking that base, I then sewed on some glass beads. Now these beads are, I think they're size 8/0s, but anyway, they are specifically glass beads and they are transparent, which when I saw them when they arrived in my letterbox, I was just so happy because they were exactly what I wanted, and I couldn't believe it. Most of the time when you order something, you don't really know what you're gonna get, but this time, absolutely perfect. They look like these salmon eggs. But anyway, I then sewed the beads onto the top to make the gunkan maki. Oh, I just love how this one turned out. It looks exactly like it, but you know what? Still can't eat it. For the condiments, I just crocheted some random amorphous shapes and clumps, and I did that in the pickled ginger colour, which is this sort of soft pink coral, and the limey green for the wasabi. I then also made a simple cylinder off camera with a green cap at the end for my soy sauce bottle. It's just so cute. It's so tiny. Love it. That was the bulk of the crochet done, but there was still more to do. I needed to prepare the box itself. Now, to upcycle it, I first cleaned it thoroughly and went on to cover it with some craft paper. I wanted the sushi to stand out, so I opted not to go too crazy with the colours here, so just the brown craft paper was fine. I also covered the band that goes around the box, and with that all done, it was time to move on to the chopsticks. I couldn't initially decide if I wanted to add chopsticks or not, but it just didn't seem right to leave them out. So I took a pair of disposable wooden chopsticks and painted them grey. Then I covered them with grey yarn, and they look a little more like drumsticks than chopsticks at this point, but that was all there was to it. But you know what? They looked a little bit too plain as they were, so I caved and added some bling to them. I have this Diamante ribbon which I began sewing onto the chopsticks. So while you watch me finish off the sewing of these implausibly expensive chopsticks, and before we get to the reveal, I'd just like to say thank you for watching, and of course if you'd like to see more then please like, share, comment and even consider subscribing. If you are feeling generous, then also please consider buying me a cup of coffee on Ko-fi. The link to my Ko-fi page will be included in the description box below, and any and all donations will be greatly appreciated. Also, don't forget to hit that bell button to be notified whenever I upload a new video. Anyway, enjoy the beauty shots, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!